Hey there, Manchester City fan. Today's update is coming in hot straight from the Etihad, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes that could change the course of our team. So stick with me until the end, because we're going to talk about the possible farewell of one of the club's greatest legends, the inside story on the sporting leadership with Cheeky Begiristain, and City's bold plan to sign a PSG gem without spending a penny. All that and more, right now. But first, if you cheer for every goal, every signing, every title of our Manchester City, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because here we live and breathe sky blue every single day. Let's start with a piece of news that's pulling at the heartstrings of the fans. Kevin De Bruyne is getting closer to deciding his future, and 4 clubs are firmly in the running to sign our number 17. The Belgian, who's been commanding City's midfield with brilliance for years, is entering the final stretch of his contract and, according to sources close to him, would only consider renewing if there's a significant pay cut involved. But don't worry, there's no panic or rush. De Bruyne remains as calm and composed as ever, giving no hints about his next career move. Nedum Onuoha, former City player, recently commented that Kevin is in no hurry at all to define his future. According to him, the midfielder is likely to wait until the end of the season before making any decisions. Meanwhile, things are heating up behind the scenes. Interest in De Bruyne keeps growing, with clubs from different continents joining the race. And who's leading the chase? A team many didn't expect, Neon SC from Saudi Arabia. That's right. Even though they're currently in the Saudi second division, Neon SC are in first place and set to gain promotion to the country's top flight. With ambitious plans and deep pockets, the club has already begun serious talks with the Belgians' camp. And it doesn't stop there. River Plate, the Argentine giant with history and prestige, has also made contact. Alongside them, 2 heavyweights from Turkey are making moves, Galatasaray and Fenerbahce. And even a club from Major League Soccer in the United States is taking a shot, San Diego FC. However, the latter may hit a roadblock with Kevin's wage demands. Last year, many believed De Bruyne would never agree to play in Saudi Arabia because of his family, but the player himself has made it clear he's open to any possibility at this stage of his career. He even said something that really struck a chord with fans. "At my age, you have to be open to everything. If I play there for 2 years, I could earn an incredible amount of money." That shows that, despite his love for City, a transitional moment is approaching fast. So, City fan, do you trust the board and Pep Guardiola to build a new midfield without De Bruyne if he really does leave? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know your opinion. While De Bruyne's future turns into a full-blown saga, another major behind-the-scenes story involves the leadership of City's board. Cheeky Begiristain, the man behind several major signings in recent years, is preparing to leave the club. The initial plan was for him to say goodbye after the Club World Cup in July, but the situation has shifted slightly. Journalist Hugo Cerezo has reported that Begiristain will delay his departure until the end of the summer transfer window. This is crucial as it gives him time to smoothly hand over the reins to his successor, Hugo Viana. And if the name doesn't ring a bell, it's worth getting to know more about him. Viana, currently sporting director at Sporting CP in Portugal, is expected to officially take over before the start of the new season. He joined the Portuguese club during a tough time, with little recognition, but proved he can work under pressure. Former Sporting coach Jorge Jesus praised how Viana handled the squad's rebuild after major losses like William Carvalho, Rafael Leão, and Rui Patricio. But that's not all. Viana has a keen eye for signings. He was the one who brought in names like Pedro Porro, João Palhinha, and Morten Hjulmand, players who now have solid reputations in top European leagues. On top of that, he generated massive profits through sales of Bruno Fernandes, Manuel Ugarte, and Mateus Nunes. That track record has caught City's attention, especially at a time when the club needs renewal following a season where some signs of wear and tear have started to appear. Pep Guardiola is fully on board with this transition and believes Viana can form a strong partnership with him in leading the sporting project. Behind the scenes, the mood is optimistic. even with the inevitable farewell to Begiristain, who leaves behind a tremendous legacy at the club. So, fan, do you think Hugo Viana has the right profile to lead this new chapter at our city? Share your take in the comments. Let's talk about this big shift in direction. Now, let's shift focus to the attacking department. With Erling Haaland flying high and cementing himself as the main man up front, you might think Manchester City doesn't need anyone else in that position. But the board has one eye on the present and the other on the future. And this is where the name Mamadou Sangaré comes in. This 18-year-old forward is currently one of the brightest prospects from Paris Saint-Germain's academy. He's been turning heads with outstanding performances in the UEFA Youth League, scoring hat tricks against teams like Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid. And the best part, his contract with PSG is about to expire. In other words, he could leave for free at the end of the season. City's plan, according to the French press, is to sign him on a free transfer and loan him to Troyes, a partner club within the City football group. There, he'd have the chance to play regularly, gain experience, and possibly return more mature and ready to join the first team in the future. It's a strategic move. Instead of bringing in players like Jonathan David from Lille or Victor Gyökeres from Sporting, both of whom have been rumored and would come at a high cost, City is betting on a young talent with huge potential who doesn't directly threaten Haaland's place. Independent scout Ben Mattinson highlighted Sangaré's talent, his vision, and his chemistry up front with Ibrahim Ba in PSG's under-19 squad. He has 9 goals and 2 assists in 11 games in the European youth competition. An impressive number showing we're talking about a true gem in the making. Continuing with the changes to the squad, one of the most surprising departures recently was that of Kyle Walker. Yes, the experienced English right-back, a key figure during the victorious era under Guardiola, now wears the AC Milan shirt. The news shocked part of the fan base, especially because Walker had always shown a strong identity with the club and was even considered likely to end his career at the Etihad. But football, as we well know, is made of cycles, and his with City appears to have come to an end. Walker has already completed 11 matches for the Italian club and is living a very different reality from the one he had in Manchester. Milan, who not long ago were fighting for titles, now sit in the middle of the Serie A table. The pressure for results is lower, the environment is different, and that has directly influenced the player's adaptation process. In a recent episode of his podcast, Walker revealed that the emotional impact of the move only hit him weeks after signing the contract. "It took 3 weeks for me to really understand that I had left. It was like I had just gone away without realizing the magnitude of it," he said. Even so, the defender made it clear that he does not regret the decision. "You've got to seize opportunities when they come. Playing for a club like Milan, experiencing a new league, living a new culture, it's something I couldn't turn down." The transfer, although unexpected, ended up being positive for both parties. Walker gained a new lease of life in a different environment and was even recalled to the England national team, proving that he still has much to offer. City, meanwhile, continue with their aim of rejuvenating the squad, looking for younger, more energetic players, something Guardiola has increasingly made clear in his choices. And this rejuvenation movement isn't just an isolated idea. It's part of a much bigger transitional plan that Manchester City have already begun to put into practice behind the scenes. The imminent departure of Txiki Begiristain, combined with the arrival of Hugo Viana and the search for talents such as Sangaré, shows that the club is preparing for a new era with a modernized structure and a long-term focus. But despite these moves in the market, there's a real concern circulating through the halls of the Etihad: the potential impact of Kevin De Bruyne's eventual departure. We're talking about one of the greatest players in the club's history, a man who shaped City's playing style, who raised the standard of the Premier League, and who is admired not only by fans, but by the entire football community. If he really does choose to leave, whether for Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Turkey, or the United States, it won't be an easy replacement. It's not just about losing the number 17 shirt. It's about losing vision, leadership, inch-perfect passing, and tactical awareness beyond the norm. De Bruyne is more than just a player. He is a symbol of an era, That's why this transition needs to be very carefully thought out, and that's where the figure of Hugo Viana becomes even more important, because finding a midfielder capable of filling that void isn't a task for just anyone. It requires someone with strategic vision, market patience, and the ability to spot talent where few others can, something Viana showed he could do during his time at Sporting. In fact, there's an expectation that, with Viana in charge of signings, City will look for reinforcements in less obvious markets, such as Portugal, Scandinavia, or South America. This more analytical, less short-term approach matches City's philosophy of building consistent squads rather than relying on isolated superstars. At the same time, Pep Guardiola is also expected to play a fundamental role in this rebuild. The manager has already shown that he knows how to adapt systems and transform players. He did it with João Cancelo, turning an ordinary fullback into one of the most creative in Europe. He did it with Bernardo Silva, who evolved from a central midfielder to even playing as a wingback. And he may do it again with other players in the squad, should he need to reinvent the way City play without De Bruyne. It's worth remembering that Manchester City are not in a moment of crisis. On the contrary, the club is stable, competitive, and still collecting trophies. But there's a clear awareness that, to maintain this level for many years to come, planning with intelligence is essential. One cannot live only in the present. Tomorrow's success begins to be built today, in the decisions the board makes, the signings they pursue, and the players they choose to keep or let go. The case of Sangaré is a perfect example of this mindset. A player who, although still considered a prospect, already shows signs that he could become something special. And what's more, he comes on a free transfer. He doesn't stretch the budget, doesn't demand astronomical wages, and doesn't create friction within the squad. It's a typical move by those who understand the backstage game, who know that football is won both on and off the pitch. This new generation that could emerge at City in the coming years has every chance of surprising. While names like De Bruyne and Walker say goodbye or prepare to do so, other stars are being formed. And that's where the importance lies in keeping a well-aligned coaching staff, an efficient scouting department, and a cohesive club project, something City have built masterfully over the past decade. As changes continue to unfold behind the scenes at Manchester City, an inevitable question is beginning to gain traction among supporters. Who could fill the void left by Kevin De Bruyne, should his departure become a reality? The truth is, replacing a player with De Bruyne's vision, technique, and influence is no simple task, and the club knows it. It's not just about finding someone with similar stats. It's about finding a new brain for the midfield, someone capable of orchestrating the game, making split-second decisions, and maintaining the tempo that Guardiola demands so intensely. Behind the scenes, a few names are already emerging as potential targets. One of them is Florian Wirtz, the young sensation from Bayer Leverkusen. At just 20 years old, Wirtz has already shown maturity and intelligence on the pitch worthy of a veteran. His style is reminiscent of De Bruyne's, with vertical passes, movement between the lines, and a rare creative spark. The issue? The price tag. Leverkusen are unwilling to let him go for less than $100 million. But City, with their financial backing and urgency to reshape the midfield, may well consider the investment. Another name drawing attention is Jamal Musiala from Bayern Munich. While the German club are reluctant to part ways with their gem, the recent instability at Bayern could open a door. Musiala has the versatility Guardiola loves. He can play as a midfielder, winger, or even a false nine when needed. He's young, technical, and has already shown composure in big games. The competition for his signing would be fierce, but City's sporting project might prove persuasive. There is also a third path being considered, giving space to internal talents. Guardiola has never been afraid to bet on youth, and players like Oscar Bobb and James McAtee have already shown glimpses of quality. Of course, none of them currently have De Bruyne's impact, but with patience and the right environment, they could grow within the project. And this is where the philosophy of a smooth transition comes into play, something the club is actively trying to implement. Rather than simply replacing one piece with another, the aim is to prepare the ground in advance, balancing experience with youth, reputation with potential. That requires time, planning, and above all, trust in the process. This balance can also be seen in the club's defensive movements. Kyle Walker's departure has opened up space on the right flank, and City are already eyeing options who can take on the responsibility in the medium to long term. One of the most talked about names is Jeremy Frimpong, Bayer Leverkusen's right back. Fast, incisive going forward, and defensively sound, Frimpong would be a modern replacement, aligned with Guardiola's style of play. Another name being discussed internally is Pedro Porro, now at Tottenham. Interestingly, Porro was signed by Hugo Viana at Sporting, which creates a direct connection with City's new director. With Premier League experience and a proven adaptation to English football, he would be a safe addition. But the changes don't stop there. The defense as a whole could undergo adjustments, especially amid rumors of possible departures for Aymeric Laporte, currently out on loan, and Manuel Akanji, who is reportedly attracting interest from the Bundesliga. Guardiola wants to maintain a solid defensive system, but one with ball-playing ability and tactical flexibility, which may mean new faces arriving as early as this transfer window. And when we turn to the attacking sector, it's impossible to ignore the name of Erling Haaland. The Norwegian remains the undisputed star of the attack, but there is a quiet concern within the club about his long-term future. Although under contract and still showing commitment, the ongoing interest from giants such as Real Madrid and PSG is persistent. That's why moves like the potential free signing of Mahamadou Sangaré from PSG make even more sense. The club isn't looking for an immediate replacement for Haaland, not now, but it understands the need to build a new attacking generation, one that can develop gradually without carrying the weight of responsibility from the outset. Sangaré, just 18 years old and with impressive numbers in the youth league, fits that mold perfectly. A bet on the future. And if all goes to plan, he'll be able to develop calmly, potentially on loan to Troyes, gaining minutes and experience before joining the first team. The strategy is clear. City don't just want to buy ready-made stars. They want to build their own. They want to create a new cycle of success, with players who are connected to the shirt, shaped by the club's philosophy, and ready to carry the legacy forward. And of course, all of this only works if there's a cohesive environment and stable leadership. In that sense, Pep Guardiola's continued presence remains the most important factor. So far, there's no sign that he plans to leave, but his contract is nearing its end, and behind-the-scenes efforts to secure a renewal are already underway. Pep is more than a manager at City. He's a pillar of the project, a figure who directly influences signings, the playing style from youth to senior level, and the club's global image. His renewal is a top priority, because without him, the transition would become far riskier. Meanwhile, the fans are watching closely, and rightly so. We're witnessing a turning point, a moment that could redefine the club's path for the next 5 to 10 years. De Bruyne might leave, Walker is already gone, and Begiristain is saying goodbye. But at the same time, Hugo Viana is arriving, Sangaré is on his way, and new targets are being mapped out. This is the dance of football. Some go, others come. The important thing is that Manchester City are preparing, not just to react to changes, but to lead a new era. An era where the club continues to fight for titles, but with new pieces, new ideas, and a solid foundation built with vision and competence. Now it's over to you, City fans. In light of all these movements, do you feel confident about this new cycle? Do you believe the club is on the right path to remain dominant in England and Europe? Or do you feel like we're saying goodbye to something greater than we realize? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. The future of Manchester City, as always, runs through you. See you next time.